What's up, guys? It's Friday! And you know what that means. It's What the Fitness time. How could we start off 2021 with a bang? I was on Instagram, scrolling through my DMs, and somebody sent me something that made me go, It was a picture of a gal, scantily clad. I was wondering, why is this scantily clad picture in my DM? And then I read the caption. So it says, caption, Oh, this is so funny. Fun fact, plants are toxic. Plants were not created for humans. They don't want us to eat their stems, roots, and seeds. Plants are loaded with toxins such as sulforaphane. It exists, syntax. It exists when you chew on broccoli. Where else would it exist? Anyway. You can also develop hypothyroidism from eating too much broccoli sprouts. Conclusion, eat more meat, save the world. You know, we had to pull up a few of her posts for research purposes only, of course. So let's take this first claim here that plants are toxic and they don't want us to eat them. I'm pretty sure that animals don't want us to eat them either. And you could actually Paul Saladino makes this same stupid argument. I wonder if she's a fan. She's probably a fan of him. This idea that you can find these chemicals in plants that like phytates, okay, you can get a kidney stone maybe. And that's if you ate ridiculous amounts. Sulforaphane, the idea that sulforaphane is a toxin, the research on sulforaphane actually suggests it might be anti-carcinogenic. Let's just look at people who eat lots of vegetables. If vegetables were toxic, we would expect people who eat the most amount of vegetables to die younger. We don't see that. In fact, we see the opposite. So I still have trouble getting these mental gymnastics that carnivore advocates do, where they go, plants are toxic. Well, if plants are toxic and they're trying to kill us, they're doing a really fucking shitty job of that. Because people who eat more plants tend to live longer. So explain to me how that one works. Then you could make the exact same argument for compounds in meat, for example, heme iron, which in mechanistic studies has been shown to possibly contribute to the development of cancer. Same thing for heterocyclic amines and polyaromatic hydrocarbons. That's in the case of meat cooked at high temperatures. Now, I don't think that you need to worry about moderate meat consumption, especially based on a recent prospective cohort study that showed that people who ate high meat intake, but also who ate high amounts of fruits and vegetables had lower risk of cancer. Now, this is the funny part. If plants are toxic and meat is good for us, why in this study, with over 100,000 people, the people at the highest risk of developing any kind of cancer were those who ate high meat intake and low fruits and vegetable intake? But if they had high meat intake and high fruit and vegetable intake, they were actually very low risk for developing cancer. So please explain to me how those mental gymnastics work. What else we got from this lady genius, Chino? How many meals do you eat per day? Comment down below. I usually have 2 and a midnight snack. Ha 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 ha. You're better off having fewer big meals than many small spikes a day because it will give your metabolism insulin spikes a rest. You know, this is we made fun of that gal who was drinking cum a few What the Fitnesses back, probably 6 months ago. We had a good time with that. At least she is staying within the area of her apparent expertise. So this idea that you have a bunch of small meals per day, it spikes your insulin a bunch of times. Okay, let's just logic this one through. There's what's called an area under the curve, all right? If you eat a lot of small meals per day versus, let's say, 1 big meal per day. She says she has 2, so let's take 2 big meals per day. If your macronutrient intake is equated between those potential diets and the only difference is the number of meals, guess what happens? Yes, you have more frequent increases in insulin because of smaller meals. There are also much smaller increases in insulin. Whereas if you have 2 really large meals, you'll have 2 really large spikes in insulin. The net difference per day, area under the curve, is probably going to be almost nothing. This is what we call majoring in the minors. What else we got, Chino? Any other gems of wisdom from this gal? She's pursuing her PhD at Brazzers University.
And that, in a nutshell, is what we call string theory.
It's amazing how you make learning so much fun, Mr. Johnny.
Fun fact, there is no such thing as a healthy snack. Eating between meals block your fat burning mode. So I believe she's trying to say eating between meals blocks your fat burning mode. Snacking is the result of not eating enough nutrient dense food, meat. For reference, I usually eat twice a day, a small meal after my fasted strength work, right before my metabolic conditioning work. I use that meal as energy for my high intensity CrossFit workouts. Of course she does CrossFit. I ate a large dinner at the end of the day after all my work, training, editing, content creation is done. Content creation. All right. So this idea of a fat burning mode. Yes, when you eat, if you eat carbohydrate, it will reduce the amount of fat you oxidize. But you're only looking at one side of a fat loss equation. The amount of fat you lose is the balance between the amount of fat you burn versus the amount of fat you store. If you eat a higher carbohydrate diet, you will burn less fat. You also store less fat because your body, you don't store dietary carbohydrate as fat, really. When they did a study of overfeeding in humans, and I think it was like, I want to say they overfed them by 50% over their maintenance calories. Of the 272 grams of fat they stored in adipose, 4 grams came from carbohydrate. So your body doesn't store carbohydrate as fat. Now, carbohydrate must be oxidized when you take it in. So what happens is carbohydrate acts as a cushion for you to store the dietary fat you eat as fat. But if you're eating a high carb diet, you're going to burn less fat, but you're also going to store less fat. If you're eating a high fat diet, you're going to burn more fat, but you're also going to store more fat. The amount of fat you lose or gain is dependent upon your energy balance. And that's been shown in a multitude of studies, including Kevin Hall's meta-analysis of 30-ish randomized controlled trials and controlled feeding experiments. So this idea of fat burning mode, who gives a fuck? This is like people who argue for low intensity cardio because, well, you stay in the fat burning mode. Yeah, research has shown over and over, it doesn't really matter what you burn during exercise. She says she has a small meal in the morning and then a bigger meal at night if she was following the research. If anything, the research shows having a bigger meal in the morning is better for insulin sensitivity, blood glucose control, and possibly weight loss. There are a few studies demonstrating that. Now, I personally have a bigger meal at night because that just makes things easier to adhere to. But if she wants to be evidence-based, that research is out there. As of late, I've started incorporating OMAD again, 1 meal a day. I start my day with fasted strength resistance work. I have some beef tallow, then get right into my metabolic conditioning. I have a large dinner at night with lots of protein and animal fat. So technically, I've transitioned to carnivore, keto, and intermittent fasting. She's just throwing all those fads together. I mostly eat elk, bison, animal organs, sometimes salmon, and fruit. More on this as I track my progress into the new year. I'm feeling amazing. Can't wait to see how I continually improve myself physically and mentally. I can't say this for sure, but she seems like a Paul Saladino devotee because now she's eating fruit. Which if you followed Paul, he said for the longest time, carbohydrates were making us fat, and that's why, the obesity crisis happened. And then he's like, oh no, I started eating honey and I felt better, but from an electrolyte perspective, since honey has so many electrolytes in it. And then turns out now he's eating fruit. So, and he says he feels better. Shocking. So anyways, a lot of goalposts moving, a lot of bullshit, a lot of nonsense. I don't think anybody's following this gal for her dietary expertise. I mean, listen, I got no problem with how people choose to make a living. None. Zero. I have zero issue with people posting nudity, people posting racy photos. You know, if there wasn't a market for it, people wouldn't be able to make a living that way. So that's fine. I got no problem with that. I am pro-capitalism, so rock on to this gal. But when you're going to venture into making claims about nutrition and stating things authoritatively, then you might wind up on What the Fitness. Okay, so Chino has pulled up her, it's on greatestphysiques.com. Kaylie Ann Phillips is a CrossFit athlete from Northern California. She's known for her dedication to the sport, along with her inspirational quotes and photos on social media. Oh, follow your dreams, follow your dreams. All right, Chino and I have had enough fun with this. I hope you guys enjoyed as much as I did. It was a much-needed comic relief. Hope you guys are having a great week.
Thanks, Kaylie.
Get up in those comments. Thanks, Kaylie. Honestly, wish you the best. Just stay away from the nutrition claims. I'll catch you guys next week.
Her snatch work is at 125.
Oh, shut up. God. And Kaylie Ann Phillips here on the snatch with 69 kilos.
You snatched us some heavy lifting.
All right. We're going to turn this off before we...